Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is June 3rd, 2017. I'm here this afternoon with our doctor, professor, and physicist, and we're going to be talking about the sun. And she's written a report on the sun that we're going to be going over here very, very shortly. But as all of you may know, if you're watching my channel, you obviously see and have heard that we have some upcoming issues on the sun dealing with these large sunspots, these solar flares, CMEs, filaments, all of this activity when other scientists and solar experts are claiming that we are in a grand solar minimum. And I would definitely have to disagree with those top-notched solar scientists, because if anything, we're seeing a lot of activity on the sun. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the report here in a few minutes. So good afternoon, doctor. How are you?
Good afternoon, Scott. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. So the observations that you've made over the past 48 hours of what's going on with our sun and this solar activity, I know we were going over some of the information prior to going on the air, and I was showing you those massive X flares and those solar flares and those filaments and just all of that activity coming from those large sunspots. And we're supposed to be in a grand solar minimum. What do you think?
Well, not at all. Don't forget we are 3 years away from the solar maximum. So we should be moving towards a solar minimum, but the sun had no sunspots at the beginning of this year, and now it seems to be having more and more of them. So it's as if it's moving towards a solar maximum rather than the solar minimum. So that's not possible. It has, whatever's happening with it has nothing to do with the solar cycle. So I therefore think that what's happening is that it's interacting with these brown dwarf stars, and that's causing all that activity.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of activity. I ran a live stream last night, and I put together just about every single piece of solar data that I can get my hands on. And I live streamed it for, I think, over 6.5, maybe 7 hours, just to make sure that, a lot of people would see this. And from what I was seeing, it all started out with that big filament release that we had. I think it was on between the 30th and 31st of May. And then June 1st, we had a large coronal mass ejection that was captured on the coronagraph with SOHO. And that filament release, I mean, we watched that and saw that together.
Yes.
That filament release was, I mean, it looked like it had to be 100,000 miles long, maybe longer.
Yeah, it was huge, definitely. 200,000 miles, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to calculate, but because it wasn't straightforward, it kind of looped around a little bit, but it went directly out into outer space.
That's right.
But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this article up because I am very interested in reading this. I didn't have a chance to go over it, but I am definitely interested in viewing this. Just give me a second here.
Okay. I did watch your live stream, some of it, and I also thought it was excellent. You put everything in there.
Yeah, there was just about everything in there, and I actually found a few things from NOAA that I didn't know existed because I was going through their website with a fine-tooth comb, and I was actually able to find some other models and diagrams and information that I think will be critical in the very, very near future. And the article that the doctor has for us today, ladies and gentlemen, it is titled, "Is the Sun Waking Up?" June 2nd, 2017.
Yes.
Is the sun waking up? Well, we did go through a very long period without seeing any of these sunspots. Basically, it seemed like, you know, the sun was just one coronal hole after the other, one coronal hole after the other. Maybe a little tiny sunspot here, maybe one there. But I know there were long periods of time that we didn't see any. Now, all of a sudden, the birth of these sunspots, they're now starting to occur. And just recently, I don't know the exact month or date, it wasn't too long ago, but we had a sunspot, just one, that they calculated it was almost 150,000 miles long.
Wow.
It was huge. And what has sparked my interest was that massive filament release on the 31st, then the large coronal mass ejection on June 1st. And now we're watching the sun turn towards us, and we are seeing a lot of activity coming from two sunspots. Now, one of them we're going to be getting a visual on probably within the next 12 to 24 hours, but we do have, you know, we do have somewhat of a visual on it, but it's still going to be turning towards us. And we have probably, oh, I would say anywhere between 3 to 5 days. And those sunspots are going to be facing Earth. Now, you know, I just cut a short video on this, but I didn't have a chance to upload it yet. But I mean, these sunspots, this isn't, you know, detrimental to life. It's not going to destroy the entire Earth, but they do have the potential to cause massive blackouts, basically damage to our electrical infrastructure. We'll start having problems with the internet again, cellular phone service. You know, the electrical grid really takes a hit when we have these geomagnetic storms. And I could probably guarantee you that people are going to see the aurora in the northern and southern hemisphere probably like we've never seen it before on this planet. But getting directly into your article, Doctor, I'll go ahead and turn this over to you, because just looking at your images already has piqued my curiosity.
Yes, thanks, Scott. Well, I do start with the sunspots that you mentioned, this very active area on the sun on the eastern side. The eastern side of the sun is on the left. But you can see it there. You can see a very bright spot, and you can see the solar flares coming out of it. When I first looked at it, I thought, oh my goodness, look at that thing. It looks like a volcano on the sun. And so these images are from June 1st, so they are a few days old. So I wrote this on June 2nd. It is just the same now, except it has turned a little bit more towards facing the Earth. So, but it's just as active. So in a few days, it will be facing Earth. It is a little bit above the equator of the sun. So hopefully, well, we could still get a direct hit from it. It does seem capable of very strong solar flares. So you can see the corona looks much larger in the area as well. So that's due to that activity there. And you can see it in the 3 different wavelengths. That's the 17.1, 13.1, and 30.4 nanometers. So it's very active. And as I said before, earlier this year, the sun didn't have any sunspots on it at all. And now it's got these huge active areas. So this kind of sunspot can give rise to solar flares, which quickly arrive on at the Earth's magnetosphere and cause huge problems. And it can cause CMEs and solar flares at the same time. The solar flares will arrive quicker, of course. But if there is a CME, and even if it isn't that strong, what happened was with a previous CME that was supposed to hit on May the 26th, it hit over 24 hours later. And the reason for that was because I think there's another stellar wind from behind the Earth that's slowing it down. And what happens is it actually strengthens or it gives the particles more energy. So this is what I go on to explain here. And so if you get a very strong CME hitting the magnetosphere, what you get then is auroras which come down to lower latitudes than normal, like we did with this one. I think it was seen in New Zealand. I think you made a video about it. And this is what will happen again. I mean, we could get to the point that we get such strong geomagnetic storms because of these CMEs that we can get auroras almost down to the equator on Earth. So if you scroll down a little bit more.
Yeah, I know those auroras were being seen everywhere.
That's right, at much lower latitudes than normal, which goes to show that the geomagnetic storms that we got were much stronger than they should have been. Okay, so this is what happens when you have the solar wind particles on one side and the stellar wind from a brown dwarf star. Now, in this diagram, I didn't put every possible combination because solar wind particles are mainly protons and electrons, and there are some helium nuclei in it, and perhaps a few heavy nuclei. But the main thing is protons and electrons. And here the red dots, the red circles represent the protons, which is just ionized hydrogen, and the little blue circles are the electrons. And as you can see, the little arrows point towards the right for the solar wind particles. That's the direction they're moving in. On the other side, we have the larger particles. We could have protons in there as well, but you see lots of electrons, and the rest are the red and the black. The black is a neutron, so it's just a heavier particle. We could have helium particles in there as well. But I just put in a proton and a neutron. We could have heavier ones. We could have lithium, but mainly we could even have hydrogen. But I just want to say we have particles on one side, we have particles on the other. They're going to collide.
Yeah, there was. I had a lot of suspicions when we're going back to the CME that we were waiting on, and naturally, because it didn't arrive on time, the criticism, the criticism came from, every direction. But the fact of the matter is, you're trying to use the tools and the models that are available to us. And every now and then, the solar wind model and the CME model, they're off maybe a few hours, maybe a few hours ahead, maybe a few hours behind.
Yeah.
But when that CME didn't hit, I started wondering, and I started thinking to myself, okay, I've been watching this now for days. I've been trying to calculate its arrival and where is it?
Yeah.
And then what was really frustrating was watching the speed of the solar wind coming from the sun It was so low, I just couldn't understand it. And then, you know, we started thinking, okay, well, there has to be something opposing this solar wind, something buffering or slowing down this solar wind, slowing down the oncoming CME. And for, well, I hate to even use their name, but for NASA to make a 24-hour mistake in the solar wind model and the calculation, you know, that's kind of rare, even for those NASA geeks, to make a 24-hour mistake. And then as we got to talking about the subject, you know, I started thinking, okay, then, you know, this is all coming together now, because this is telling me that two forces are bumping heads, and one of them is slowing the other down. So you have something coming from the left, something coming from the right. Naturally, you're going to have that energy slow down because it has an opposing force. And I always watch the guy from the Higher Truth channel. I mean, very, very smart, very intelligent. I love his YouTube channel. And just as we were thinking about all of this, he came out with a video, and his video was pretty much direct in line with what we were thinking. And he went into depth on his report. And I believe, you know, all of us are pretty much on the same page. And then after the CME passed by, that's when I had that big question for you, because I literally saw the CME pass by Earth and then expand almost 3 times its size and then heat up. And then that's when I was asking about, you know, the hydrogen, the protons. What would happen if they met up with an opposing force of helium? Would that actually cause? Would it actually cause it to, you know, look like fusion?
Yeah, what happens when either two protons and helium collide is you get a shower of other particles being created, mesons and hadrons, all kinds. They come by different names. The mesons, there's the pion, the kaon, and so on. And the theory is that these particles are made out of quarks. This is QCD, it's quantum chromodynamics. It's the theory that tells you what these particles are made of. So the proton is made up of 3 quarks and a whole lot of gluons that holds them together, and the neutron as well. And when they collide, so what you actually have is the quarks inside these particles colliding. And then they combine in different forms and you get different particles. And some have 2 quarks in them and some have 3 quarks in them. And the 2 quarks ones are called mesons. So this is the kind of thing that happens. So you get a whole lot of energy being released at the same time and different particles being created. But what happens is, you're absolutely right, the particles are slowed down, because don't forget, if you have 2 objects colliding with each other, they're going to move in opposite directions from the point where the collision happened. So if you have protons from the sun coming in towards the Earth, and they hit other particles, some of them are going to collide and move backwards until they collide with other protons, and then they move forwards again. So that, of course, will slow down all the particles, and that's why it was late. And then I show some of the interactions that can happen, and I basically show the simple one with the electron. And this is called capture and reionization. So what we see here is a proton moving towards the Earth. The electron is moving in the opposite direction because it's coming from stellar wind. Then, so it's captured. As it moves past the proton, it captures it and starts circling around the proton. Then say a photon or an electron, I use the photon in the top image, collides with that electron and bumps it out of its orbit around the hydrogen nucleus, which is the proton. And then it moves away in the same direction as the hydrogen atom. And now we have more electrons, possibly with more energy than it had before, but now moving in the right direction towards the Earth.
You know, Doctor, I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick. Do you have a cell phone? Do you have a cell phone near you? Everyone's saying that we're getting a really bad feedback.
Is it? Okay. I don't actually. Is that?
Let me see here. I know my neighbors, they're remodeling their home, and it was nice and quiet here this morning. And now all of a sudden, the construction workers have showed up and they are running power tools again. And I don't know if that's what someone's hearing, because I can hear it very loudly outside. I'm just going to ask a question real quick to everyone in the chat. Are you still getting feedback over the live stream? Yes or no? Anybody? Okay, well, everybody's saying it's fine.
Okay.
Some people are having an echo. You may want to, if you're watching the video, you may want to click on the little gear on the video on YouTube and set your resolution to 720. That will give you a high definition view of your video on your computer or your cell phone or your television, whatever you're watching it on. But you always want to make sure you have that high definition set, or else with YouTube, your videos might be a little blurry. Doctor, you're using a headset. Maybe you could just put the microphone, maybe just pull it away from your mouth just a little bit. I don't know if that would be causing the feedback. It's hard to say.
All right. Is that better?
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you perfectly fine. I can hear you perfectly fine. It's just some of the people were saying that there was a large or a loud echo.
All right.
Yes, everybody else doesn't hear the power tools outside, but I hear the power tools outside, and I'm about ready to go out there and wrap the cord around one of their necks and tell them to knock it off, because it's been 2 weeks of this. Every morning, all day, all afternoon. I'm ready to go out there and just say, hey, listen, let me help you guys and get this over and done with. So listen, everybody, real quick, so we could get back to this. Are you still hearing the echo? Okay, I guess the echo's coming from your side.
Okay. Shall I try and speak then?
Yes, you just may want to adjust your microphone. Maybe even put it closer to your mouth, or.
Is that better?
Yeah, it may, you know, I don't know. It may be the internet access.
I don't know. Yeah. Shall I try to go on?
Yes, there is a little bit of a feedback. Why don't we do this here real quick, because that I'm going to exit out of here real quick from the from your report. Just give me 1 second. If you go ahead and exit out of the live stream.
Okay.
And refresh your screen, and then come back in, and then all should be just peachy. Yeah, I've been having a lot of problems with the YouTube live stream for a couple of weeks now. I don't know if it has to do with the internet interruptions, but I'm definitely having issues with my internet, and I have the fastest, highest speed internet there is available, and I just can't get a break with it. So now we have you back.
I'm back. Is that better? Now there's still an echo, isn't there?
Yeah, somewhat.
I don't know.
It might have to do with, it might have to do with, I mean, you're using Wi-Fi. It just might happen to be, interference.
Yeah. But we've done it before. We never had any trouble.
Oh, yeah, it's bad now. It's real bad.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Okay. I don't know, Scott.
There's always a technical problem.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Okay, well, that sounds a little bit better there.
Was it better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and bring up this report again real quick.
Okay.
And we could move on. I know we were down here looking at some protons and electrons. Oop, here we go.
Yes. Okay, so I was explaining the collision. So the electron going around the hydrogen atom can also be bumped out of its energy level by a collision with another electron. And then the same thing happens. The two electrons move away from the hydrogen atom as separate particles, and they will add to the energy of the plasma.
Okay.
So you can scroll down a bit.
Ooh, the dreaded sun.
So this is about, there I explained, but I've already mentioned that we're only 3 years away from the solar maximum, so the sun should be getting weaker, not stronger, and yet we are observing that it's getting stronger. So it looks like it's interacting with, it's another reason, the only other reason I can come up with is that it's interacting with these brown dwarf stars. And then here is this, the filament. And this is towards the end when it expanded and it broke as if it was an elastic band, and it sent a large amount of plasma into outer space. And if it had been facing the Earth, of course, we would get hit with that. It can be just like a CME. So that's what we see happening there.
Yeah, that was a huge filament. I think, in all of my years of, my research and my investigations, and I view the sun every day. Sometimes I view it 2, 3, sometimes 4 times. That had to be the largest filament that I've ever seen snap off of the sun like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was absolutely amazing. And I mean, thank goodness that we have the SDO footage, because I guess you would really never know what was happening up there with our sun. But yes, that was absolutely amazing. And you're right. I mean, that's kind of a good thing that we weren't directly in line with that, because we might not have any power, cell phones, and the internet's definitely being affected, because I've been having problems for, I'd have to say for at least a month.
Yes.
With my internet. And like I said, I have the top-notch internet from my service provider, and it's like this. I can view internet speeds all over the United States, and it's hit and miss. But there's not much you can do. You know, we're at the mercy of technology. There's no doubt about that. So you want me to go down a little bit to figure 4, or that was figure 4?
Here I explain where the filaments come from. They sometimes call prominences if they at the edge of the sun and the background is just black space. But basically they are the same thing. And they seem to originate in the chromosphere. And this diagram shows you the different layers on the sun. So the surface is the photosphere. And then above that is the chromosphere, and it's red, but not as bright as the photosphere. The sunlight comes from the photosphere. It's basically the surface of the sun. The chromosphere is red, not as bright. It can be seen through certain filters. And then above that is the corona. And so these filaments are formed in the chromosphere, which is the layer below the corona. And they are anchored to the chromosphere, which is much cooler than the corona. And that's also why that one looked darker in that image. It's actually at a cooler temperature.
Those are some pretty high temperatures.
Yes, they
1 million degrees Celsius.
Yes, that's the corona.
I can't even fathom that.
Yes, I know. And I think it's due to the fusion reactions. As you know, I don't believe that there is fusion happening in the core of the sun, because the sun is cooler and darker inside than it is outside. I think actually what's happening is that we're getting fusion on the surface of the sun. I know it's not hot fusion. I think it would be more like cold fusion. But cold fusion is possible because I don't believe the sun is just a fusion reaction type of object. It's an electrical object, so it produces an electric potential energy. So there's a potential difference across the surface of the sun, and that's what you need for cold fusion. Yes, and then the fusion, of course, creates heat, it releases heat, and this heat will go up towards the top of the sun's atmosphere, which is the corona, which would be why the corona is hotter than the surface.
Yes.
Okay, so we can.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here. I'm just studying the diagram that you have there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's pretty interesting. Very, very interesting.
Thank you. All right, so then I mentioned that these filaments and these CMEs and these solar flares that are happening are, of course, magnetic in nature. They're a lot like plasma loops, and they are produced by the sun's magnetic field. So, and plasma fills the gap between the sun's magnetic field lines. And so these filaments and these sunspots show that the sun's becoming more active. This I show what happened in 2007 as the brown dwarf star that was first seen in February. The same object looked to me like the same object, came back and did much the same thing to the sun. It didn't come as close to the sun this time. But what happened was the sun had a huge reaction. As you can see, there's a huge type of CME coming up from the northern hemisphere of the sun towards the object. And in the southern hemisphere, the corona goes dark, which means the southern part of the sun had to go dark. And you see that this reaction grows and grows to the point that the object in the 6 image is almost covered by this huge reaction from the sun.
Yep, I
So you see
remember
that
this.
the sun,
I remember this
yeah,
footage. Mhm.
the sun reacts to the presence of these objects. If this had been a planet, there would be no reason for the sun to react in this way. This was not a planet. And I could see that it was behaved a lot like the object in February, except that now the core was giving off light. So to me, it looked like it takes about 6 months since these objects enter the solar system to start emitting light from the core. So if we move down further, okay, I just explained there that it's dark.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just ran into a blank space.
Oh my, what happened there? Okay, no, okay, because that's the end of it. Sorry, it's quite a short one, but that's basically my conclusion there. So the sun sometimes goes dark, as you can see here, and it happens because it's reacting to these brown dwarf stars. So my argument is the fact that the sun is now getting so active with these sunspots and filaments and CMEs and so on, it means it's not due to a solar cycle, so it's probably due to it reacting to brown dwarf stars. And as we know, there are quite a few in the solar system. I've been talking about this for many months. There is a lot of evidence that there are quite a few around the sun and that they are attracted to the sun. So they sort of orbit the sun in close orbits. And that's basically, maybe we can scroll down and I can read through the conclusion.
There you
go. So
go.
in the conclusion, thank you. The sun seems to be waking up or becoming more active. CMEs and filament eruptions are signs of renewed activity from the sun. The increased number of coronal holes and the Earth being impacted by fast solar wind is a result of the brown dwarf stars that have entered the solar system, interacting magnetically with the sun. But CME's filament and fast solar wind will have a much larger impact on the Earth's magnetosphere and therefore the Earth as a whole. And there I just want to mention what we always say, and that will have an impact on the power grids, that will cause more volcanic eruptions, more earthquakes, and it will also impact the weather. So we will get all sorts of things that can create disasters on the Earth as a result of this. Because the CMEs and so on will be a lot stronger than they would have been without the other stellar wind opposing it.
Yeah, you know what I want to do
Right.
while we are
Yes.
still here, we can take a quick look and see what's happening on the SDO.
Uh-huh.
It's been a couple of hours. Yeah, it's been a couple of hours since I've looked at it. We could get some observations of what we're seeing there also.
Mm-hmm. I remember we watched the blue one earlier. What is that, the 35 nanometer? And it had
so.
these vertical jets coming out of this active region. That was interesting.
Wow, you know what? I'm starting to see.
Mm.
Yeah, as we turn here, and ladies and gentlemen, this is, if you follow my cursor, this is the region.
Yes.
Over here that we're looking at, and you can see the first sunspot right here where my cursor is. We're seeing a lot of activity over the last couple of days as it begins to turn towards Earth, but we are seeing very large filament releases. They happen so fast that it's kind of hard to see it, and because this is this footage is, well, I don't want to say live, but it's their controlled 48-hour loop. I can't slow it down unless I, download it and slow it down from there. But we're seeing a lot of activity, and you have to remember these filament releases, these flares, they may look small on your computer screen or your television, but listen, when I say they are what, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000 miles long before they even release from the sun. This is very, very powerful. I was just reading some information earlier that a coronal mass ejection can be equivalent to 400 million tons of TNT. I mean, that's pretty explosive.
It is indeed.
Yeah, I mean, it can equal the impact of a comet on Earth. So that is the amount of energy that we're looking at when we see these situations occurring. Now, I don't know if you guys can see it, but as this sunspot turns, I can see a filament release go straight up. It's kind of a fine line, but I can see it go straight up in the air.
Yes.
And the issue is, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the equator of the sun, just about where my cursor is. And these aren't too far above, maybe a few clicks. But as you can see, these solar flares, they're going in all directions, up, down, over, across. They're going in every single direction. Not only do we have one, but we have another one back here. We can't see it clearly yet, but probably over the next 48 hours, we'll get a better view of what that actually, or how big that actually is. But it definitely looks like this sunspot, the first one coming in, I mean, it's going to town on some energy release there. I mean,
it's extremely active. Let's say it.
Yes, and let's not forget, everybody, that all of these scientists, they want us to think that we're in this grand solar minimum. I mean, I just don't understand their thought process. I'm not too much of a fan of astronomers or scientists, solar scientists. I just don't understand them. I mean, we're making basic observations of what we're seeing, and with me, maybe a little bit above basic knowledge. And what I see is I see danger. I mean, I don't see danger to human life in a sense, but when it comes to our power grid, our communications, well, then that leads to emergency situations that cannot be dealt with. Loss of power, we're getting into the summertime months here in the United States and the Northern Hemisphere. We are already seeing, certain areas heating up, meaning the temperatures are going up, up, up. The majority of people in the United States, they're used to air conditioning, older folks, things of that nature. If we lose telecommunications, someone has an emergency, well, how do you get a hold of the emergency assistance? So therefore, you see what I'm saying. Losing power, losing communications is a life-threatening situation. And we've seen this before. But what's occurring on the sun right now and moving towards us, to me, it's very alarming. Very alarming. I mean, yes, we've all seen the sunspots before. Yes, they do produce this type of activity. But when these scientists are saying that we're at a grand solar minimum, and we're now seeing the birth of massive sunspots with massive amounts of activity and flaring, that leads me to think that They don't know what they're talking about. And I don't respect their theories. I don't respect anything that they have to say, because what I'm seeing with my own eyes. I mean, how do you feel about it, Doctor? I mean, we're seeing it with our own eyes.
We are seeing it. It's unbelievable that the sun has become so extremely active, that it has such an active region turning towards facing the Earth. I never thought I would see such an active region like this. I mean, for months it had no sunspots at all. It looked like it was turning into one big coronal hole. Now it is still, most of the region of the photosphere, not the photosphere, the corona is still dark. There are still lots of coronal holes, but yet it's got these very active regions as well. And this, the only reason I can come up with, and notice they all sort of about just above the equator. There's one that's turning away from facing the Earth now. It's about at the same distance from the equator as the one that is turning towards us. So I would say it's to do with objects that are orbiting the sun, that are because the way these objects interact with the sun is through the magnetic field. So their magnetic fields are interacting with the sun's magnetic field. And all of these things happening on the sun, from filaments to plasma loops to sunspots, are all part of the sun's magnetic field. So the magnetic field interaction between the sun and these objects will give rise to things like that. It gives rise to coronal holes as well.
Yeah, I was just giving everybody a little bit of a clearer view, a more of a close-up view
yes,
of what's occurring. You know, and it does look pretty neat. It's kind of amazing to watch. But, you know, ladies and gentlemen,
yes,
when you're dealing with this subject matter, you know, all of the pretty colors and the flashes, you know,
yeah,
it's not turning into a pretty situation. You know, I mean,
no, it's actually very dangerous.
Yeah, we could have transformers exploding. I mean, the doctor herself, what was that, about a month ago, where that transformer exploded and caught
Yes,
fire?
very close to where I live.
Yeah. And that's power outages, folks. You know, big power outages. When you have these major transformer stations blow up, catch fire, short out, whatever they do, listen, you know as well as I do, they don't fix these things overnight. And if it's extensive damage, you could be without power for days, a week, or possibly weeks. There's just no doubt about it. And then you also have to think about major industry. Major industries, factories, mills, things of that nature, use a lot of electrical power. They could be down from production for days or weeks. I was talking to a gentleman who lives in New York City. He was literally in the subway system when the power grid went down in New York, and the subway system runs on what? Electricity, and it immediately shut down, and it stranded hundreds of thousands of people in the subway system. And New York City is not just the only city that has subways. So once again, this is going to be a situation that we're going to have to keep our eyes on a lot. I mean, that's my opinion. I've seen some other YouTube channels that give reports on you know, the sun. I don't want to mention any names, but, you know, it seems that they have a tendency to kind of downplay what's occurring, because I think they don't want to be labeled a fearmonger.
I see.
And that is the stupidest word, the stupidest phrase that I've ever heard in my entire life. Fearmonger. Listen, whoever coined that phrase, They should throw them in a pit and stone them to death, like in the medieval days, you know, because we're not fear mongering. I mean, God, just watch your daily news wherever you live. And then whenever we have a situation where we have a near Earth object and NASA releases the information, you know, they scare the living daylights out of people all over the world. But do people come out there and yell, "Oh, NASA, you're a fearmonger"? No. But this is just a stupid terminology that is used by very, very stupid and ignorant people. So you can see for yourself what is occurring. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to go to Google and type in solar flares, coronal mass ejections, energy from the sun, whatever you want to type in there. And you can quickly educate yourself. And if any of you, all of you watch my YouTube channel, you know and you see where we are gathering our information from. Now, whether or not you're good at the observations and you know what you're looking at, well, then you'll learn. And hopefully, over the course of the last year, a lot of you hopefully have learned quite a bit about the sun. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to come right out here and say this while I have all of your attention. You know, the whole issue with Planet X, Nibiru, Nemesis, again, whatever you want to call these objects, you can name it Fido, Butch, Mary, I don't care what you name it. The fact of the matter is that we have substellar objects in our solar system interacting with our sun. And it is my belief that our biggest threat is not from a rogue planet smashing into the Earth, because that's not going to happen. Let me repeat this. There will not be a planet crashing into the Earth. It just does not happen. But what our biggest threat is what is occurring on our sun and the reaction with the sun and either one brown dwarf star or multiple brown dwarf stars. Mm-hmm. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, these brown dwarf stars can have 100 planets orbiting around them, small little exoplanets, whatever they may be. But those small planets, or those planets that may be orbiting these brown dwarf stars, those planets are not a threat to the Earth. What is occurring on the sun is a direct threat to our planet. I want all of you to please understand that. So when myself and the doctor are centering a lot of attention on what is happening on the sun plays a pivotal role in all of this. The heating up of the internal core of our planet, which then produces massive earthquakes. These massive earthquakes, if they are offshore, can produce massive tsunamis. The volcanoes, the wild weather, and the wobbling of our planet is creating this absolutely horrendous weather around the world. And all of the subject matter that I just mentioned, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, the wild weather, ladies and gentlemen, these are the items that take lives. Mm-hmm. Planet X, whatever you want to call it, it's not going to be responsible for taking those lives. It's what's occurring, the interaction between those brown dwarf stars, our sun, and our planet. And the dynamics of this, you know, maybe some of you may think it's too far-fetched, too much to swallow, too much to understand. But in actuality, it's really not that hard to understand. I think the doctor makes it very, very easy to understand. But we also have other things that are occurring, and that is big disinformation campaigns, held by whomever, the trolling of the YouTube channels, creating misinformation, trying to change your mind, the smashing down of information, the withholding of information, the government's not telling the truth, government's not warning people about what is occurring. I've mentioned this before. The United States government just enacted through an executive order this space weather office through Obama. But have we heard anything from this space weather office that's supposed to be located in the Washington, D.C., the capital of this country? Does anybody work there? Does anybody have a telephone number for them? Why would they not be holding press conferences based on some of the things that are occurring? What is wrong with our weather? Is it just a freak of nature? Or is the catastrophic flooding that is occurring every single day around the world, and nobody is paying any attention to it in the media? They are too busy talking about Donald Trump and Kathy Gifford or Grifford or whatever that psycho comedian's name is. We have serious situations brewing on our planet that need all of our attention. And you, as the viewer and the subscribers, I know it's tough to sit down and try to even begin to explain these things to someone who's never heard about it before. And when the doctor did her report on the chemtrailing and these horrible chemicals that they've been putting into our air for so long, maybe that's the reason why people are so dumbed down when it comes to even beginning to think about something like this. Where are all of the astronomers? Where are all of the astrophysicists? Why are they not trying to add more disclaim to what we're talking about? I'll tell you why. Because it would be professional suicide for them. They don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to issue a statement about it. But yet the lady that you're listening to on this channel had the guts to stand up, put her career on the line based on her own observations, not something she read, not something she watched on YouTube, her own observations. The bottom line is, I believe that we are under threat. It may seem subtle. Oh yeah, an earthquake here, an earthquake there, a volcano there. Okay, a bad storm. Okay, some flooding. No. If you put it all into the big picture, ladies and gentlemen, and I know a lot of you don't have the time that I have to dedicate to this, but I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it, I'm living it, and I am watching it happen each and every day. And if you think that people are not losing their lives, you better think again. People are losing their lives every minute of every day. And it may seem subtle because you're not watching it on CNN and your local news just talks about, a little bit of local stuff. Oh, a convenience store robbed here, one murder here, you know, some community stuff, when in fact, they should be looking into what's happening around the world. Doctor, you know, I'm sorry I had to go through that rant, but it's just the way that I feel.
No, that was very good, Scott.
It's not too often that I get to, you know, to express these things, but it does bug me considerably that, you know, we're making these observations. We're not making them up.
That's right. We're not fearmongers, I don't think. I think what we're trying to do is warn people to the reality of what's going on. We are not making things up. This is reality. This is what we are facing. And I think it is better to know what we are facing and to be at least mentally prepared for what might happen. In the city where you live, you might lose power for 2 weeks. So
yeah. These people go crazy.
I know. At least think about it. What can you do to prepare? At least have some extra water in your house or something like that.
Yeah, people go crazy. People go crazy in the United States if they lose power for an hour. They go absolutely ape shit if they lose cable for an hour. What are they going to do? You know, what are they going to do when, you know, the power grid is, you know, completely destroyed, and you may be without power for a few weeks, a month, a few months. You know, we talk about, you know, we talk about being prepared. Some of these things, ladies and gentlemen, you know, emotionally, you know, you can try to prepare yourself all you want. Physically, well, you know, that's based on each individual. But my main goal is simply understanding that this is what is occurring. And I know a lot of you have delved into a lot of different Planet X theories, Nibiru theories. I've done it myself. But to be completely honest, I don't know if the whole theory of Nibiru and Nemesis is what's rolling through our solar system, because the doctor has made so many acute observations and it almost doesn't coincide with the mystical theory of planet Nibiru. However, there's a huge possibility that we're not seeing all of this mini solar system, as they call it. I've called it that myself. I'm not discounting everything that I've researched because I started from the very beginning. I've read all of the material from Zecharia Sitchin. I've read all of the information from Dr. Robert Harrington. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at a difference of 30 to 35 years and many, many more observations and a lot more people looking up into the skies, taking photographs, taking video, making observations. And now, just by the grace of God, we do have a professional who has set out to basically tell the world what's happening. And again, putting her career on the line, putting her name on the line, and getting out there and, you know, basically wanting to educate people. And this is the only forum that we have right now. Maybe we'll expand this forum in the very near future. That would be something that would be fantastic, to see more people around the world waking up and understanding that this isn't climate change, folks. This isn't climate change. Like, what was the vice president's name there? Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Yeah. Yeah. I never bought the climate change crap before. I sure as hell ain't going to buy it now.
No, I think it was a cover story for what's really happening around the sun. And as you said, people call the object that was supposed to come in basically a brown dwarf star, nemesis, I believe.
Yes.
Well, I think we have quite a few nemesis around the sun right now, possibly more coming in. That's what I think.
Yes, I would have to agree. And, ladies and gentlemen, both myself and the doctor became instant friends with a fantastic gentleman down there in Australia. He has a fantastic YouTube channel, Prep Aussie. This man's been investigating on his own, privately, doing his own thing, making his own observations. And myself and the doctor and Al, we had a great conversation. We reviewed a lot of information that he had. And we basically came to the conclusion that there are some of us that just have an eye for spotting these objects in photographs, in video. And Prep Aussie, man, I got to tell you, I think he may be the best out there on YouTube right now and with his work. Now, I'd love to get him on a live stream with us, but he's 12 hours ahead of us, and he's a very active man right now. He's got a lot of things on his plate, but sooner or later we're all going to get together. We're going to do a live stream together, and you're going to see with your own eyes the very easy techniques that he uses, but he is able to spot not one, not two, 3, 4, 5, multiple objects around the sun. And they're not camera anomalies. They're not lens flares or any of that other crap. He proves it. He proves it. Mr. MMBBB333. I watch his channel all the time. Prep Aussie critiqued one of his videos the other day of a big sun halo. And he took the image and he clearly showed beyond a shadow of a doubt a massive object below and behind the sun. He did an excellent job doing that. Matter of fact, I sent him the photographs that I took yesterday at 7 p.m. And I took these photographs in black and white. And a lot of you, if you watched the video I produced this morning, you saw that object. And I sent the photographs over to Prep Aussie. He emailed me back. And, he said to me, why is the sun square? Basically, we talked about this, maybe in a joking manner. Why is the sun square? Why does it look square in the photographs? Well, we've all talked about the possibilities of the sun simulators and the secret space program, maybe trying to hide these objects, because if they didn't, we would probably be seeing these clear as a bell in the sky. And I'm trying different techniques in order to capture these objects. And what I find is in the Northern Hemisphere where I'm at, sundown. Sundown has been the big payoff. Yesterday, it was pretty clear, and I decided to, let's get the camera. Let's see if I can, capture something here. And I decided to try black and white photographs to get rid of the glare of the sun, because these objects will hide in the corona of the sun. They'll hide in the glare of the sun. So I try to minimize it. And lo and behold, I took a handful of shots and loaded them into my computer. And lo and behold, there it was. there it was. They were amazing pictures, once again. And I just want to make a little joke here. But I watched a video on YouTube the other day that one of my subscribers was looking at one of these stupid troll channels, and they did a video about the big blue striped object that I've captured several times now. And they said that they took the photographs to a forensic photographer, forensic photography, and it was deemed that the photographs are a complete fraud and that they are of a dirty towel with bacteria on it. So I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, yes, folks, it's the cat's out of the bag. I have a blue striped towel, beach towel, hand towel, and I crumpled it all up and I threw it in the yard, and I freaking threw a bunch of dust on it and some bacteria, and I photographed it and photoshopped it and put it up there for the whole freaking world to, to find out and see. Okay, give me a break. Go back under the bridge, my little trolls. So that is the that is the extent that some people will go to discredit you. Now, looking at this photograph, I haven't done anything to it. Nothing. Nothing at all. It's a simple black and white photograph. What is it? You can clearly see that it is in the sun's corona, in the sun's light. You can see it all around here. And the object clearly looks like it has something going on. I mean, what do you think, Doctor? You think I'm crazy?
Of course not. You can see it's an object with structure. It looks spherical. We don't see the whole of it because it doesn't emit its own light. It's reflecting the sun's light, but it's got structure. We can see structure on it. I don't think we can fake something like this. I mean, we've been taking, this is the third set of pictures you have taken. It's obviously a large object next to the sun.
Hold on a minute. Hold on.
Yes.
I did crumple up my beach towel and I cast it towards the sun and took this photograph at the same time, and I put bacteria on it. Yeah, so I mean, whenever I uploaded the photographs to my computer and I started looking at them, I had one of those WTF moments. I was like, wow, holy hell, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And again, what Prep Aussie was referring to is he was like, Scott, why is the sun square?
Yeah.
Why is it square?
Well, I can tell you why. Because they still putting these sun simulation devices in front of it to try and hide most of these objects. It's obviously not working with that large the blue-brown dwarf. It's so huge that the simulator doesn't actually cover it. And of course, with what you do to cut out the glare, it becomes quite visible.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, I'm no astrophotographer. I'm not a professional photographer, but I have my theories. I've had them for quite a long time. I've been photographing the sun and chasing, these objects for a long time. I know the difference between, a lens flare, glare, in the camera. And, just by thinking, okay, if something's near the sun or, off in the distance behind the sun or in the proximity of the sun from where I'm at on Earth, approximately 93 million miles away, okay, the sun's rays are going to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to figure out a way to minimize the glare of the sun. I need to reduce that and allow the sun to illuminate this object if it is there. Well, what am I looking at? I mean, okay, a camera anomaly? What type of camera anomaly?
Mm-hmm.
Because from what I'm looking at, I mean, it looks like it's got some pretty good definition for being 93 million miles away. And I'll zoom in on even more. You can check it out. It'll pixelate a little bit. There's your camera anomaly.
Exactly.
Right there. I mean,
there's no way it's not a natural object around the sun. And it's definitely not a lens flare. If it was a lens flare, how could it be a lens flare of the sun? The sun doesn't even look round. It looks square.
I know, exactly. So if that was a camera artifact, then it would be, if it was ghosting, that's another terminology that they're liking to use as of lately, is it's a ghost image. But the only time I see that ghost image is when people are using that Nikon P900 digital camera. And when they use that digital camera and they do these recordings of the sun, then you can clearly see that the image is a ghost image of the sun or the moon. Now, we've seen that, and there have been several YouTube channels, even myself, they've tried to trick me with sending me video in and saying, look at this, look at this. But I know the difference. And, these still photographs that I took yesterday, and I only took a handful of them. It was just a series of about, I think, eight photos. But when I was standing there, I was waiting for some cloud cover to move by, and it did finally move by. There was the presence of the chemtrailing, because they were chemtrailing hours before. And then, you can see the very, very, very light haze over the sky. And I think that is what is on this photograph also, combined with the rays of the sun. But, I'm a firm believer in what I photographed yesterday. Again, I think it's a different object. I don't think it's that striped object, because we would probably see clearly those stripes, but there looks like there's something definitely going on.
Okay.
I don't know if those are raised, ridges, the texture of it. It's hard to say because it pixelates.
Yes.
Whenever I look at it.
It could be material coming off another one of these brown dwarfs. If the blue-brown dwarf could be one of them, we possibly have more than one. And there's material coming off the blue-brown dwarf, so we may have material coming off the other ones as well. Well, we're still going to do something with the blue-brown dwarf, but the most surprising fact that I found from your image that you took the other day, not these ones, was that it has a solid surface. It's not gaseous, it's solid.
Now, something I did want to ask you, whenever you're viewing something such as what we're viewing, would you expect to see well-defined, how could I say that? Well-defined lines? If we were looking at something and the only way that you would see a well-defined line around a circular object would be if it was flat, like a plate.
Yeah, that's true. You might get more definition on one side, but very little definition on the other because it's partially in shadow, because it's reflecting the light of the sun. But don't forget, you would need an extremely good telescope, and even then, you still have to cope with the haze in the atmosphere, which is the geoengineering is putting in it. And the atmosphere itself makes observations a little bit complicated, even without the geoengineering haze. So it is difficult to get a really well-defined image.
Now, I definitely know what prep bossy means. Scott, why is the sun square?
Yeah,
That was the
indeed.
email that he sent me back after I sent him the pictures this morning. Why is the sun square? I wish I had the answer to that. I'm sure we all, we can all imagine why. Why would it look square? I mean, why?
Because simulators, because of simulators. I mean, they've come up with all sorts of plans to hide these objects from the Earth's population. But of course, these methods are failing, as you can see, because you are taking pictures of these objects.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. And it's a pretty clear day today. I don't know what they're going to be doing with the chemtrailing here later on, but probably between 6:30 and 7 p.m. I'm going to be back out there, and I'm going to try to gather some more information, and hopefully, I get lucky again. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, this is just another view from the SDO, and this is the large sunspot that we see turning towards us as we speak. And it is pretty large. It's very hard to kind of gauge the size and distance until it turns completely most of the way Earth facing, but it is pretty big. I would probably have to gauge that is well over 100,000 miles long, maybe even bigger than that. But we will find out over the course of the next couple of days. And I did have that one other. Video that I wanted to show everyone. And where is it? I have so much here from the day before. What did I do with it? I think I have it here. What did I do with it? What did I do with it? Oh, bingo. Here you go.
Yes.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is just another view from the SDO. This is basically what the solar scientists look at when they really want to see these coronal holes. I believe this shows them the negative and positive.
Yes, that's the negative magnetic field polarity and the positive, and then you get the plasma loops coming from one side and ending up on the other.
Okay, so that's where those plasma loops, they're going from positive to negative.
That's right.
What I mean, do you know what causes them to release like that? If they don't complete their loop from positive to negative, basically from the green side to the yellow side, or the yellow side to the green side. I think it's the green to the yellow.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. I'll have to look at that. But yeah, it's from one side to the other, and you get the plasma loop. It's due to that's just the way these sunspots are. It's the magnetic field of the sun that creates them. It sort of juts out of the surface of the sun. And don't forget why I think the objects are causing this. Because even with the coronal holes, as I've said before, it's basically the sun's magnetic field lines are pulled right out towards the other object, because these objects have a stronger magnetic field than the sun. And then the magnetic field lines close at the object rather than close to the surface of the sun. But with the sunspots, they don't open completely and go out to the object. They just pulled of the object. And possibly that's what's causing these sunspots, is these objects are actually pulling on the sun's magnetic field and causing it to strengthen in spots, right? Yeah, because it must be a lot stronger at those spots. The magnetic field lines have to be very close to each other, so that means very strong. So I think it's the magnetic interaction between these objects. Sometimes it causes coronal holes, and sometimes it causes this sort of reaction, the sunspots. Very active sunspot, that. It's very, very
Yeah.
active.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, boy. I'll tell you, there's a lot going on here, and I mean, I'm gonna be on top of this morning, noon, and night. There is one other that I wanted to bring up, and this was one photograph that I did invert. I inverted the photograph, and this was just really amazing because we were just talking about what is that on the surface. You know, these little raised areas. And again, you know, it's not high definition. I can't help that. But what I did notice is that it was so far into the corona of the sun, you can literally see it.
That's right.
I mean, it's like it was attached to the corona, you know, possibly behind it, but there's no doubt that is not a dirty towel.
Yeah, it could be this object is just a very large brown dwarf star, not a brown dwarf. Because the brown dwarf stars are able to just pull plasma from the sun. And the fact that it looks like it's almost enveloped in the corona could be that it's so magnetically connected and it's pulling the plasma right up from the surface of the sun. And that would envelop it into the whole atmosphere of the sun. So that's possibly what could be happening here. And what I've discovered is that these objects go through different stages. So they start off at the white dwarf stage, they move on to the brown dwarf stage where they can rejuvenate, and they move and they get, as they age, into the from the brown dwarf stage to the brown dwarf. There is no clearly defining line. I suppose we will find these objects somewhere in between all these stages. But from the white dwarf stage, what we have is an aging star. It's getting older and older, and I think what we've discovered about the blue-brown dwarf and the fact that it's solid, that what's left is the core of what was once a star. And it's a solid core because it's just the material that was left over from the last fusion reactions, all concentrated in it. And it could be that this object is between the stage of brown dwarf star and brown dwarf, and is still able to somehow pull plasma from the sun. It's still got a reasonably sized magnetic field. And all of this is what fascinates me, because I want to understand what's really going on with the sun. I want to understand what these objects are and how stars age. And so this is basically what I'm researching, what I'm trying to find out. What is really going on here?
Yes, I agree with you. That's my whole game there. I want to find out what is going on, and I will eventually find out. But you know, I wanted to do something real quick here. You know, I've been noticing over the past 10 minutes that we have an individual that is in the live chat by the name of Emily J. And Emily J seems to know a hell of a lot more about the situation on the sun. And this individual is claiming that they are not called plasma loops, and made another comment. And this doctor did not answer questions that Scott had for her. I think that you clearly answered every single question I had. So at this particular time, I would like to invite Emily J right into the conversation. I'll put the link to the live stream, and Emily J, you can come on this live stream right now and you can school me and the doctor. So what do you think? Here's your opportunity.
Sure.
It's either, hey, you know, the old saying that I have, it's either put up or shut up. So what's it going to be? Where's Emily? Emily, would you like to join us? And would you like to educate me and the doctor? Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. And doctor, you always answer every single question that I have. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, you know, during these live streams, we pretty much have we have our agenda already set up, and it's kind of hard to, you know, break away from that and you know, take questions and get these answers. But while we have a few minutes, if any of you have any questions that you'd like to ask the doctor before we end our live stream, I'd be more than happy to ask her. Oh, I see Emily J seems to be probably a troll.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I try to answer all the questions to the best of my ability. You have to remember, I am not a trained astronomer. So if I get things wrong, then I still have things to learn. That's what it is. But I do try. I mean, the question about the protons and the neutrons and colliding and so on, that's actually my field. I am a particle physicist. And QCD was what
I think you do a fantastic job. Oh, let's see here. Hold on one second. Do. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Oh boy, oh boy.
But I don't think that about the no plasma loop, that's definitely not correct. I mean, every astronomer and astrophysicist knows about plasma loops on the sun. So that is very strange.
Yes, I mean, I've heard the terminology many, many times before. And just let me move over here and do something here real quick. Do. Well, there you go, Emily J. Why don't you come on in here and school me and the doctor and give us your credentials and let us know what we're saying is completely wrong. And we'll just wait on this individual. Do. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Would anybody else like to jump in here and talk with us for a few minutes before we end our live stream?
Well, Scott, there's actually a book called Plasma Loops in the Solar Corona. By some researchers wrote it.
Listen,
not just a very technical book. So
where's my queen of the live chat, my moderator, Dark Angel? Dark Angel, would you like to jump in here and talk with me and the doctor for a few minutes? Listen, she's been, her and Heidi have been doing a fantastic job helping moderate the live chat and the live streams that I do. And I just wanted to thank both of them. They take a lot of time out of their busy schedules to help out with the moderation of the live chat. But we really haven't had that much of an issue with these trolling operations since these two ladies took over, and they get in there and they bash heads. I love it.
That's wonderful.
But listen, if any of you guys want to jump on here for a few minutes and chat with us, I'm going to put the link in the live chat one more time. There it is. Click on the link and you can join us. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Who said that? What president said that?
I'm not sure.
I think Roosevelt said that.
Oh, okay.
We have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess me and you are like really unpopular. Nobody wants to get in here. Nobody wants to get in here and shoot the shit with us for a little bit, especially not Emily J. But that's
okay.
Maybe another day for Emily J. See, I just love it when people get in there and they just start flapping their gums 100 miles an hour and they seem to know it all, but you know, no credentials, no background, no nothing. But here we are.
Yeah.
But anyways, every now and then.
That's a pity. I actually enjoy questions.
Oh, we have somebody here. Oh, we have Jake from WTF Sky.
What's going on? Party people.
No credentials, no background. What's going down?
Well, I wanted to. I heard you had a link in the chat. I wanted to ask you a question.
Hold on, everybody. Hold on, everybody. You gotta turn your audio off so we can hear you.
For me?
Yeah, you got to turn the background video off. You know that.
There it is. He turned it off. The wings person needs to mute their screen real quick.
So listen, while you're on here, Jake's been doing a lot of research for months now on the grand solar minimum. He's got a fantastic professional guest that he joins up with. And what's his name? Lee.
There's a person mute their mic.
So listen, while you're on here, Jake's doing a lot of research. I got to mute a few people. Go ahead, Jake. You got the floor, buddy.
All right. So I had a couple questions for you. I heard you at the beginning. You said you didn't think we were in a grand solar minimum, and I just wanted to ask you why you thought that. That's all. And maybe I can offer you a little help on why I think we are in a grand solar minimum.
Doc, were you able to hear what Jake said?
Well, first of all the planets in the solar system have been warming up for quite a few years.
Yes.
So that's quite a well-known fact, including the Earth. So why would we think that we are in a solar minimum?
Okay.
And the fact is that it's quite obvious that the Earth is warming up from the core.
Yes.
And this is why we have increased volcanic eruptions.
Okay.
So that is warming up the oceans. And there's quite a bit of evidence that the oceans are warming up in places like around Japan.
Right.
So in a grand solar minimum, we would expect the oceans to cool down, we would expect ice to increase over the North and the South Pole, and we see the opposite happening. We see the ice receding. We see increased temperatures at both poles. And so basically it means that the Earth is actually warming up. So if the oceans are warming up and we have less ice, the conclusion is that the Earth is warming up. And that's not surprising, because the Earth is not the only planet in the solar system. Because since the 1970s, scientists have been saying, oh, look at this, the planets, Mars, Pluto, all the planets seem to be warming up. And that is not due to just the sun, because obviously the sun seemed to be getting weaker for a while, but at the moment it seems to be waking up.
Okay, Doctor.
And
Doctor,
if it,
may I respond
yes,
to a couple things that I think that I need to respond on real quick about the solar minimum? I wanted to point out that you were correct about the planets in the solar system heating up from the core. However, during the solar minimum, as you know, the magnetic field of the Earth and other planets of the solar system are strengthened by the output of the sun. Now, when the sun gets weak, the magnetic fields get weak, and that allows more charged particles into the planet's atmosphere, which does go straight to the core. Now, Scott, I've heard you say that on your channel, that we are getting more charged particles heating our planet from the core. And that's why we're seeing this increase in heat. Now, as far as the oceans having to warm up and all that, or cool down to be in the solar minimum, that's not correct either. The solar minimums are measured in cycles that happen every 11 years. Every 200 years or so, we go into what's called a grand solar minimum, where our TSI, total solar irradiance, levels are dropped. That's how we measure when we're going into a solar minimum and a solar maximum. And right now, our TSI levels are lowering by the day. Also, if you also take note of all the sunspots that we've had this year, right now we've had 38 spotless days in the year, and it's June 3rd. We had 32 the whole year of 2016. We're already surpassed what we had last year. So the sun, actually, the solar spots that we're looking at right now, 2661, is only producing C-class solar flares, which are the weakest right now. So yes, there is a little activity on the sun, but these are C-class flares. We got to start worrying about M-class and X-class flares. That's when you need to be concerned. But right now, the sun is putting out very weak sunspots. And two, I don't know if you guys looked at the SDO, but we don't have any coronal holes except for the north and the south poles, and that's typical of the sun. But we're going to start seeing this weaker sun where we're not going to see as many coronal holes. And this is just the beginning. We will bottom out of this by 2019. Right now, we're in the beginning stages of heading into the grand solar minimum. This is the prelude.
Okay, so I'd like to answer this, Jake. And I'm glad you're saying that the sun is getting weak. This has been my argument for a while. I never said that the sun was not getting weaker. I believe, in fact, that the sun's getting weaker because it is being drained by other objects. When I first started investigating the sun, I came across the so-called SDO eclipse. And I found out that it was no eclipse, that the sun was actually going dark. My conclusion, and I'm glad you agree with me, my conclusion was that there were objects draining the sun. I then started looking for those objects. These objects now are in the solar system. They also have a magnetic field. So the Earth is not just being impacted by the sun's magnetic field, but by the magnetic field of these objects. And I'm glad you agree with me. I'm very surprised at that.
I agree. I don't agree with what's causing the sun to go dead. You're saying other objects are causing the sun. I'm telling
well, the
you
sun is definitely getting weaker. I agree with that. But this is not part of a normal cycle. The sun went through its solar maximum in 2014. We're now 3 years away from that. The sun is a lot weaker now than it was 3 years before the solar maximum. And
that's because we're in the minimum now.
We can look at it. We can look at it on SDO. We can see how much darker the sun is and how how much larger the coronal holes can get. Now, I've written several articles about what causes coronal holes, and it's all based on the fact that magnetic field lines have to be closed. So if they seem to be open at the sun, they have to close somewhere else. And
Can I
that
ask you a
somewhere
question,
else
Doctor?
is at the other object.
Doctor?
Jake, turn your microphone up a little bit.
Sorry. Doc, can I ask you a really quick question?
Sure.
Okay. Do you find it that it's a coincidence that the sun is going weak at the same time you claim that there's objects draining it, but yet we are in a grand solar minimum?
We are not in a grand solar minimum. This is nothing to do with the cycle on the sun. The sun is being affected by other objects, and I have found evidence of that fact.
Just go back 200 years from the ending of the last grand solar cycle. We are in a solar minimum right now, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude, ma'am. I'm just letting you know that we are in. You can go. These things are in cycles.
Okay, Jake, if you go to the University of Colorado website,
Yes.
you will actually see that they say that the TSI values have not changed since the 16th century. So where is your evidence about the solar minimum 200 years ago?
Okay, well, there's several graphs that you can go look up. I do go to that Colorado website as well. That's where I'm getting my TSI. That's where I'm getting my TSI information from, is that Colorado website.
It does not vary by, what is it, 3,600 to 3,601.
Look up.
That's not enough.
Website as well.
To say, that's just a basic 11-year cycle, and which at the moment we're not actually having, because the sun is waking up. Like I said, it's having solar
That's not what the data says.
Sunspots like.
Let me jump in here.
That's just a basic 11-year cycle, and
that's not what the data says.
We're not actually having, because the sun is waking up. Like I said,
I'm sorry, doctor, that's false. That's not what I'm sorry, doctor.
Let me jump in here.
11 years cycle.
Listen, everybody, real quick. If you
because the sun is waking up, like I said,
Angel needs to mute her mic.
Yeah, listen. Hold on. I have to mute some people here real quick because their microphone feedback is draining everybody out. So just hold on 1 second here.
Because the sun is waking up.
Okay, Jake, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, listen, based on what you and Lee have been investigating for quite some time, instead of throwing stones back and forth, when do you and Lee predict that we'll be like in the maximum of this grand solar minimum? When do you think this ice age, or is it a mini ice age or like a full-blown we're screwed?
Right now in solar cycle 24, we're in the prelude. 2019, we will bottom out. We'll continue to see extreme weather events like we have with the flooding and the snow, the amazing amounts of snow we've got in the Sierras. We'll continue to cool. And then from 2019 to 2030, we'll come back to a sort of normal pattern again. But after 2030, 2035 is when they're expecting us to go into a deep, and cycle 26 anyway. Cycle 25 and cycle 26 is when they're expecting us to go into a deep ice age. Some say as long as 400 years. Lee's saying 1,000 years.
Oh man, I'll be collecting Social Security by then. I hope I'm dead by then. That much is for sure. Well, listen, I mean, I could clearly see that we definitely have different points of view. I mean, me and you've been round and round with this 100 times. And there's definitely room for delving into this even more together. I haven't dug into the grand solar minimum as much, but I see your points. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But I think that maybe someday here, very, very soon, maybe we can get together with you and Lee and the doctor, and maybe we can sit down and hash all these things out scientifically, you know, and see what we come up with. Because the bottom line is, it's just not my ass and your ass on the line. It's everybody on the globe. So, one way or another, that's what that's what we're all here trying to do. And if the doctor doesn't mind, Lee's a fantastic guy. I've watched him and Jake a couple of times on their live streams, and Lee's definitely a very, very intelligent man. So is Jake, and I think it might make for a pretty good debate on what's occurring, because I feel that there's a lot more going on out there that we probably don't even know about. And the more people that have their heads into it, I think the better off that we would be. But any last words for any use? I like to get to some of the other individuals that we have pop in here. I never get to speak with too many of these people. But any last words for anybody?
Yeah, just not to interrupt your show, but when I heard that the doctor didn't believe we were in a solar minimum, guys, I'm telling you, if you both look into it, you'll see just off the charts and the years that it's been documented, we are in a grand solar minimum. We are heading into it right now in solar cycle 24, and 25 and 26 are just going to make things. You think we got extreme weather now? Hold on to your hats. That's all I got to say.
Well, I think it's definitely something that we could touch base on, and I'll be giving you a call, and maybe we could put something together, and definitely talk about it. It's definitely worth talking about. There's no doubt about it. I've seen the terminology fly by so many times in the course of the last 6 months. But like I said, I really haven't gotten into as much of the information that's out there. And between you and Lee, I think, out of everybody that's on YouTube, I think you two are the only ones that have, the credible information. So I think it's definitely something that we could definitely look into. I'm gonna unmute Dark Angel for a minute. Let me get here and unmute you. Oh, you have your own microphone muted. Yep. Dark Angel, you there? Can you hear me? Earth to Dark Angel. Earth to Dark Angel. Well, she'll be there. Okay. Okay. I can't read your whole name, but it said Northern. Who's the young lady there with the different color hair? Oh, there she is.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good. How are you today?
Doing pretty good.
So my question is probably more so for the doctor, generally for anybody that watches this or listens, I guess. I watch you every single day, every single night before bed. And you guys have actually inspired me to start taking video. I live in Northern California, and apparently there's not very many people out here who are watching the skies like everybody else is right now. Usually we have pretty dead skies out here. I have noticed the past couple weeks, and I'm going to get to my question. We have been having way heavier chemtrails, and they seem to be happening in a pattern now. About 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure they tried to cover up the sunset, and I captured on video what was either the double sun finally, or it was the red cross in the sky. And then probably about 2 or 3 days after that, I noticed our moon went completely missing from the sky at night. It literally just vanished, and it wasn't a new moon. It was right after the full moon. And I've been recording it almost every night since then. Half the time during the day, you can't see it now. The past 3 or 4 nights I've taken video now, it has been way off in the sky from where it's supposed to be, and it hasn't been exactly matching up with the phases that it's supposed to be in. So my general question for everybody and the doctor is, what in the hell or heck is going on with the moon right now, and why did it go missing for so many days and just pop back up, and why is it not in the right path, orbital path that it's supposed to be in right now?
We've talked about that moon. We've talked about that moon situation before. Go ahead, doctor.
Okay, so there are a couple of possibilities. One is the Earth is, of course, wobbling, so we would face in a different direction out into space.
Right.
The other is that the moon itself can be moved out of its orbit because we have, I believe, a large number of objects in the solar system. And if the moon is on the side facing these objects, it could be diverted from its orbit, and then it wouldn't be where it is. So if we
Okay,
look
because
at,
I did notice one of my recordings the other night, it did look like there was some other object in front of it. It didn't look quite right. Sorry to cut you off.
no, that's fine. So that's possibly what's happening here, that it just got pulled out of its position. And because we have so many objects around that this is what can happen. Because if it's the Earth wobbling, then we would look out into space and we would see the other planets not in their position. But if they are in the correct position, then we'd have to say, well, it must be the moon. The moon must have been moved out of its orbit. And
Okay.
yeah.
But what about the nights that it went missing then? That's what's really getting me right now, is it literally just vanished for about 3 or 4 nights. I was freaking out to all my neighbors and my boyfriend and everybody that I knew that I couldn't find the moon. I made people go out and look for it with me, and it was just gone. And it should have been in a crescent phase or a half moon phase after the full moon, and it just vanished.
That is very strange.
I had a situation back in the middle of May where I couldn't sleep. I stepped outside, you know, for a few minutes in front of my house, and we were right. I don't know if it was a full moon, but the moon is directly over my neighbor's house across the street.
Yeah, I have it over a tree line across from mine. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I know where it's at all the time, and I walked outside 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was very, very low, like right over my neighbor's roof, and I could see it perfectly. I went back in the house. I was able to fall back asleep. 3 hours later, I walked outside to go and leave and have breakfast, and it was still there in the same damn place.
See, that's what I've been catching in my videos the past couple nights. Yes! It's like it's not moving. And if any of you guys feel the need to go watch my videos, it's absolutely amazing. I use the tree line as my marker every night where it should be. And the past couple nights that I've been catching it, it hasn't even been over the tree line at 9:30 like it's supposed to be. It's supposed to go down over our tree line at about 2 or 3 in the morning. And it's just been hovering over my balcony every night at 9:30 instead of being across the street where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder now what's happening with
it's like
with the moon.
It's like it moves once every 3 hours now. It's weird.
Yeah, what I think is happening there is the moon is possibly covered up by another object. Or it's so moved out of its orbit that they are actually covering up where it actually is, and they're putting a moon simulator in the sky, because only a moon simulator would be able to stay still.
Yeah, one of the videos that I took, it actually looks like, and I mentioned it in my video, was when it was supposed to be the crescent moon. And it was off by about 2 days for the shape that it was supposed to be in, the phase that it was supposed to be in. And I zoomed in on it, and it almost looked like you could see where the sun was hitting the crescent side, like very, very vividly. But then you could see the dark side of the moon, the outline of it. But then it almost looked like there was like a shadowy lemon-shaped object in front of it that was actually covering the actual edge of the moon. Like the edge went out a couple extra inches.
Wow. Yeah, that's possibly a moon simulator, because the moon, nothing in space can stay still because the Earth cannot stop its rotation. So for the moon to stay still over one spot on the Earth, the only thing it could be is that it's a device, and it's set to stay at a certain position.
Yeah, that was my thought.
Especially because a couple days it went missing for so many days. That's what's really got me. Is it literally just vanished for about 3 or 4 nights? It was pitch black. I live in Grass Valley, which is super north. So I'm up in the mountains. I get to see more than most people do. And yeah, that would make perfect sense because the way that it's acting, it's not changing its phases properly. It's not where it should be at this time of year for the time of night that I'm taking the videos. And normally in the morning at about 7 in the morning, I can see it on the other side of my apartment buildings. And I haven't been able to see it during the day for about 3 weeks, up until about 2 days ago. It finally started coming out during the day again.
Yeah, it's at its closest point. I think right at the end of the month, I think it was the 25th of May. The moon was at its closest point nearest the Earth, because it's in a kind of an elliptical orbit around the Earth, and that was the supermoon. Once again, the supermoon, but nobody was going to see it.
Right. And then I've also noticed too, the past couple days, the sunset has shifted a couple degrees to the right too.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on with our skies, and the only thing that we could really do is we could get out there and we can try to document it. And I've been thinking about holding some chat sessions like this, and bringing some people in from different areas of the world or around the country, and getting these observations, firsthand, instead of emails and pictures. It's always good to hear from somebody. Hey, I like your hair, by the way. Your hair's pretty cool.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, it's a bunch of different colors.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. And again, I'm not trying to troll you guys. If anybody gets curious, because no one else is taking video in California right now, because obviously we're kind of on the dead side of the world and the dead side of the equator, apparently, up until recently. Yeah, if anybody gets curious, come check out my channel. It's the channel under the name that I have in this chat room. And I'm going to encourage anybody else out here, before I cut off my mic and stop stealing your time, please, if there's anybody else in California, Oregon, Washington, please, guys, start taking videos so we know we're not going crazy out here and we're finally starting to see this stuff. Start your channels. Don't not take video. If you think you see something, start recording it, please. We need to know what's going on out here, guys. There's not enough info from the United States right now, especially on the West Coast.
Oh, I agree. 100%. But listen, it was great talking to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Doctor.
And thank you for the questions.
Not a problem. There's my girl, Dark Angel.
Yeah.
Is she on there?
Can you hear me now?
Hi.
I can hear you. What's happening?
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Listen, I just want to thank you now that we're kind of person to person. But listen, I wanted to thank you and Heidi. I think she's probably sleeping about right now.
Yeah, she's working.
Yeah, definitely wanted to thank both of you for helping out in the live chat. It's been a big help. I barely get enough sleep as it is. So what's up with you? How's things been going? I see you've cleaned my chat up. Man.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep your chat pretty clean since I am up so much, but was it yesterday? I just couldn't get out of bed, so I'm sorry for missing your beautiful report on chemtrails, Doc.
Oh, that's fine. I'm sure you watched it anyway.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Later on.
Yeah, that was definitely a good report, and that definitely raised a lot of eyebrows on what exactly is going on in the skies. And I don't even want to go outside anymore. When I see the chemtrailing, it really does. It sickens me to know that world governments are out there doing things like that. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. Come clean with it. Tell us what you're doing. I think, as the human race, we have the right. You know what I mean? You're spraying this garbage down on us.
Damn Skippy, we have the right. We paying for their salaries. Why don't we get to have the right to know?
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask the doctor while you're on here with us?
My main thing was just to say a great big huge thank you from all of us at the Planet X family, and to both of you and Chris Potter, that we absolutely love you guys and we got your back no matter what, and we always look forward to the live chats. I'm trying to get out the information to family and friends, even if they think I'm totally insane. I don't care.
Yeah, believe me, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. I post some things on my personal Facebook page, and I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends around the world, actually, from years in business. And yeah, some of the people that I know in the European countries and in South America, they're pretty down with me. But it just seems like a lot of people in the United States, well, us Americans, I mean, we're all out there doing our thing, and got that cell phone going, got that Facebook going, that Twitter. You can't go take a dump without tweeting it. But I think eventually things are going to come to a head, and there are going to be some circumstances that are going to be completely undeniable. And, there may be a possibility at that time that it may be too late for a lot of people. For me, preparation is everything, but how do you even prepare for something like this? I leave it in God's hands. Me and the doctor, we've talked about this, from a religious standpoint. And look, the bottom line is like the old saying goes, hey, when your number's up, your number's up. When God wants you, he's going to take you regardless of the situation. So that's the way I feel. And I wish there was more that we can do about it. But as you can see on a daily basis, dealing with my YouTube channel, they're trying every possible thing they can do to shut me up.
Oh, definitely. And I'm trying to keep that from, at least for the comments, and to protect your followers as well as you and the doctor and Chris. I'm trying to keep it as clean up as possible. It's small contribution I can make.
Yeah, I really appreciate it too. And they've already done their damage. I just sent a long email to YouTube support late this morning, and they're stealing views from my channel by the tens of thousands, because my Planet X website, people go to the website because they don't want to be bothered with YouTube. So they will just click on my videos from the website, and the website has an accounting program behind it. It tells me about the traffic coming to my channel, how many people clicked on this video. It gives me the same analytics that YouTube provides. So over the course of the last 3 months, March, April, and May, they have literally, well, let's just put it this way. I'm not going to use the word stolen, but there are literally, in the month of March, 1.1 million views missing from my Nibiru channel, and 777,000 missing from the Planet X News channel. And then in April, it's worse. And then in May, I just did the statistics and the analytics yesterday, and it's 1.5 million views are missing from the Nibiru channel, and 889,000 views missing from the Planet X News channel, including subscribers. So there's nothing I could do about it, nothing at all. The information, they just sent me the email back minutes ago, and I was reading it while the doctor was talking with Jake. And I laid it all out to them. And they just basically sent me a form letter back stating that because I'm using a third party for my views, I'm not using a third party, you idiots. When people click on the video on my website, it takes them directly to YouTube to watch the damn video. So therefore, that is a view. Now, there was a situation the other day that a YouTube channel, it's AK-47. I mean, he's on my YouTube channel quite a bit. He showed a video of some lady doing something with her cat. Now, this is just a little person, video, not like in production like me, 17 million views. 17 million views in 48 hours of a cat. A cat. And then he refreshes the screen and 3 million views disappear. He did a video on it. 3 million views disappeared refreshing the screen.
Wow.
Yeah. Can I use the F word right now?
Absolutely.
You know, what happened in a blink of an eye? Where did 3 million views go?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you get 17 million views in 48 hours of a cat? That's as bad as the lady that was wearing the giraffe head on herself and doing stupid YouTube videos, and she's getting 2-3 million views a day. if I'm not being censored, then what do you call it?
Oh yeah, you guys are definitely being censored. I do have one question for the doctor.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It actually was the girl that left, Emily. I don't think she got your second link, but she was basically asking us earlier today when you had your first live stream this morning about the information for the total solar irradiance or something like that from university.
I didn't mention it already, that the University of Colorado has used models to basically fix the data, because they used different instruments up to, I think, 2003. And what they were measuring was 3,605. And then they turned, it was up to 2008. Now, I'm not sure of the date anymore. Then the new instrument came up with 3,600. So, that would mean that the sun would be getting weaker. And, but they actually decided that it was to do with the instrument, that there was 3 times more sunlight falling into it and so on. And they managed to fix all the models and come up with proper values that shows that the sun is transmitting the same amount of heat to the Earth, because the TSI is measured at the top of the Earth's atmosphere. Now, what I think of all this is, first of all, they are using models to make things look the way they think it should look. Because they can actually see when Venus goes across the sun, the TSI drops slightly, and they can actually measure it. Now, if the TSI drops when Venus goes in front of the sun, what do you think happens when we have the large amount of debris and gas clouds in the inner solar system? It should have dropped.
Oh.
We have planets, we have brown dwarf stars, we have images of these objects. We know they are there. When I first started, all I could see was that the sun was going dark. And then I started seeing jet ejections in the Secchi images. And I said, these are brown dwarf stars. Only stars are capable of this. They must be in the inner solar system. I've written about all this evidence. In 2007, there was the brown dwarf that traversed the sun. It went right into the sun's corona. So anyone that says that these objects are not there, I can tell you I have plenty of evidence that they are. And they are a lot more than I even think, I believe, because after talking to Alan from Australia, he showed me stuff that it just boggled my mind. So they are there. So I think the TSI should have dropped. And it's probably still dropping, because the amount of gas between the sun and the Earth is increasing, because there are more and more of these objects in the solar system. So what they have actually done is used models to make everything look normal. That's what I think.
Yep, I have to agree with that. I mean, I've been people try to victimize me with these made up models. And what you have to understand with any type of computerized model, you could make the model do whatever you want it to do. Whatever information you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it. So that's why, you know, I don't even allow someone to even put that in front of me, because like I said, whatever you put into it, you can skew the results very, very easily. And I think the doctor has a fantastic point in regards to what she was just referring to. I don't trust those models. I don't trust them at all. But what I do want to do, I have one other gentleman here, Sam, and Sam's got. I'm going to unmute Sam here so he can speak with us for a few minutes. Sam, how you doing, buddy? Let me get your microphone back on here, or do you have it shut off?
Scott, can you hear me?
I can hear you, buddy. There you go.
How you doing, Scott?
What's happening?
Hi, I'm talking to you from overseas, from Haifa, Israel, actually.
Oh, there you go. How's the weather over there in Israel? I know there's a lot of crazy weather going on in the Middle East right now, but how's things going for you?
We're having a great summer, very comfortable, nothing out of the ordinary. There was an earthquake about a month ago. I felt it. It wasn't that serious, like a 3.0. It shook the building a little bit. Nothing serious. But yeah, I definitely have a perspective on what's happening now.
Let's hear it, brother. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, this is not easy for many people to accept, but seeing that I've been sending you a lot of links and a lot of information in the comments section of your videos that references biblical prophecies and also a mysticism that can be found in the Jewish religion as much as it is in the Christian religion. I reference the Zohar. It's a book from 2,000 years ago that was written by a very famous mystic, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He's very well known as a Kabbalist, a mystic. And this is all written in the Zohar, and it mentions planets that appear just before the arrival of the Messiah. And wait, my boy's here. One second. Yeah, very nice. But it's about exactly what's happening now. It describes perfectly what's happening now. And you know, it's the Star of Jacob. It's also written about in the book of Deuteronomy that a star would appear before the arrival of the Messiah. And it's referenced in the Christian Bible, in the Gospels. The birth of Jesus is what do you call it? There's a signal.
Oh,
sign,
yeah,
right?
the star that the
Star of Bethlehem.
The Magi followed. Is that it, Sam?
The Star of Bethlehem. Yeah. It's actually taken from the book of Deuteronomy. It references the Star of Jacob, and this is the star that appears before the revelation of the Messiah. And so what's happening is tremendous. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. I mean, most people would want to deny it, would want to reject it because it's too immense. It's just too overwhelming. From a biblical perspective, from a mystical, eschatological, whatever you want to call it.
Yes,
it's too much. You know,
yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Are you familiar with Rabbi Glazerson? He lives.
Yes. With Rabbi, his the Bible Code.
Yeah, Rabbi Glazerson, back in mid-September of last year, I had some information coming in from a very, very good friend of mine. I don't even want to divulge all of his information, but he is over in Kuwait, and we went to college together. And he now works for the Ministry of Defense.
All right.
He was kind of privy to some information that was coming in, and just happened to be about, and I got to watch what I say. It just happened to be some information that came in where
be discreet.
President Obama was in Kuwait. Vladimir Putin was in Kuwait. And the Saudi Arabians, the Kuwaiti government, there was a big issue, and it had to do with an inbound asteroid. and they didn't know what the hell to do, and they were worried about their oil reserves, and it was up to the United States to come up with the answer to deflect or destroy this asteroid. And
all right, well,
my friend is I mean, he was born and raised, he's Kuwaiti, and we went to college together at the University of Miami, and we were like brothers, and we both went our separate way after college, but we always kept in touch with each other. And he still has family that lived in Miami, and he was concerned about what they were planning on doing, and it involved a series of rocket launches and things of that nature. And
I'm sure that happened.
Yeah, and Rabbi Glazerson just so happened to run across my video, several of my videos giving updates on the situation as I had the information coming in. And he ran the information through, he ran it through his Bible code, and he contacted me. And he contacted me, and he said, "Listen, I want to show you this."
Okay.
And what he found in his in the Torah,
blew
me away. And
Nibiru was mentioned several times. He's already done a few videos that Nibiru has mentioned there many times.
Yeah, we still exchange some emails. It's like I could get on a live stream with him, but he's very hard to understand. I can't understand him that well. His English is real broken.
Yiddish.
Yeah, but
Yiddish English.
It turned out that exactly what I was saying, he was pulling directly from the Bible codes and from the Torah, and it was amazing. Right. And then he was showing me the information on numbers 5777.
Right, the year.
Exactly. And we haven't we haven't exchanged emails probably about 3 months now. But I think it might be time to get back in touch with him, because there's a lot of things going on in Israel, the Middle East, things that to me,
the wars.
Yeah, well, they're showing me signs of what is about to come.
Right.
And it's very hard to put in words because I got a lot of information that has come in over the course of the last 9 months. Issues, things that I should be looking for to happen. And when you see these things happening, you know X amount of time is left.
Right.
And we're already seeing these things.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is a subject that's really close to my heart. I've been obsessing about it over many years. That many people have tried to make predictions and give exact dates, and they've all been wrong. And I think this is again, this is also a part of prophecy. No one knows the exact time. Only God knows, but it's close. And the mistake is to assume we know exactly when. It's close. It's getting more extreme. You know, the weather and the cataclysms and catastrophes. These are and also on top of all of this, the way people are, the way the society has become. All of this has been talked about, and this is all prophecy. The way things are rotting economically and socially and culturally, it all plays a part in these prophecies.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I was just running across an article the other day where a professional astronomer, he took a phone call, and it just so happened to be from I think from an individual from a Catholic astronomy club of some kind.
Okay.
And the question he took the phone call, and he then later on wrote about it in Earth Sky magazine and website. But it had to do with the September 23rd, 2017 dates and the constellations. And it just goes to show you that in the article, the professional astronomer, he kind of was polite with the man. He didn't insult his religion or insult the question. But then he said, listen, I'll look into it. And I will print my results of what I investigate. Well, you know, I read the whole article. It was dated for May 25th. And he went through the entire astronomer mumbo jumbo. And then at the very end of his article that he wrote pertaining to this call, basically blew it all out of the water and said it was all nonsense, and he just dismissed everything. So that just goes to show you that these professionals, they don't have balls. They don't have balls because, you know, they'll commit professional suicide if they agree with something from the Bible, from the Torah, from the Quran, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty ignorant on his part to go ahead and instead of answering the man, because he knew the constellations, he knew everything there was to know about this date, but he just didn't want to say it to him. He had no backbone.
For the past couple of years, they used the September 23rd date for Rosh Hashanah on 2015 and 2016. And there were great expectations, and they all disintegrated. It was a big blowout. It was a big disappointment, you know. So that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not the wisest thing to expect a certain date and assume that something will happen on a certain date, because it's always turned out to be a disappointment. Things are happening regardless of dates that are given or predicted. I mean, I don't want to poo-poo it, because I've been obsessing about it and I've been following it and I've been looking forward to certain dates, and nothing happened on these dates, you know. And I think this is God's will, that no man will know the date, no man will know the time. It will come as a surprise, as like in a time of distraction. But to most people that are distracted, but people that are following it will understand what's happening.
Yeah, and I think if you did know exact dates, I think you'd have to be labeled a false prophet.
Right, exactly. You can't give exact dates. It's a mistake. But it's happening regardless of whether dates are given or not. It can happen at any time. That's why I'm always asking you. There's supposed to be these sounds in the heavens, and these sounds in the heavens, these trumpets that have been already documented, these loud sounds that are very like they sound like
I've heard them.
You've heard them, right? That these are this is part of the process. This is definitely part of the process, and it's supposed to be worldwide on a certain day, that the whole world will hear it and the earth will shake all in one day. This will be the day. This will be when it arrives. But you can see, that's why I'm asking you about the buildup, about the core being charged. And there was a guy on the chat that was talking about the Earth's core already having shifted, and the Earth's crust has to catch up, and it'll like connect like a clutch to when the Earth's core is already shifted, to where the Earth's core is already shifted. So the earthquakes will happen all at once. That makes sense, because according to what I've been told and what's been written about, the whole entire Earth is supposed to shake for hours. And these trumpets are meant to be heard in the sky all over the world. So, I mean, it sounds dramatic. It sounds like, wow, supernatural. But that's what's expected, you know?
Well, I mean, as I've said before, going through this past winter time, I told everybody, you just wait till we get into the month of, April and May, and then going into the summer. We are only in the very, very beginning stages of what's going to happen. People think that, this is going to happen overnight. No, this is a systematic, a progression is the key word to use. It's a progression, and there's no doubt about it. We're seeing all of the signs. Every single one of them we are seeing. And like I said earlier, people don't realize that right now around the world, people are dying in large amounts every single day because of the flooding, because of the mudslides, because of the earthquakes. I mean, this is happening. Crops are failing. We're having major issues around the globe. And it's sad that the whole world doesn't know about it, but
that they do. It's a time of indifference. This is what's been written about. Even if the world knows, even if the world sees, nobody cares. Most people don't care. We're living in an age, in a generation of indifference.
Yep,
and this has also been written about. You know?
I agree with you 150%. You hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah. Well, there are signs in the heavens and on the earth, because the signs on the earth don't have to be just from nature or from the weather. It also has to do with what's happening in our society, in our culture, and look at the world's finances. I've been following that obsessively, and I sent you a link to look into a lot of interviews with a lot of analysts that are saying that and you mentioned it before, the monetary collapse. When it comes down, it will be very quick. It'll be in a matter of days.
Oh yeah,
it won't take weeks or months. And it's very strange. I mean, I could say strange, but it's not. It's not even a coincidence.
You know what I wanted to mention to you, if this is just the way YouTube works, if you put links in the chat or the comment section, they automatically get sent to a spam folder. So,
right. So I edited it. I didn't copy paste the entire link. I just copied the last portion. And if you Google it and put it in Google, it'll give you the YouTube.
Yeah, because once a week I try to go through that spam folder, and there are literally 4,000 or 5,000. This is no joke. That's how much I get in email. In email, I get probably pretty close to 1,000 emails a day, every single day. And it even got to the point where Gmail, they sent me a notice that they were going to just delete all of my emails. And then one day I woke up and they deleted, I think 6,900, over almost 7,000 emails. They just deleted all of it.
I understand, Scott, but at the same time, we should be grateful that we still have a platform, regardless of what they're doing, trying to censor and to get rid of the information. They can't, look, they can't shut it down. They have to keep it up. And they even if they shut it down now, the signal got out, the information got out, the world knows, people know. If people are talking, they can't shut this off. They can't shut it out.
If they shut it down, I will paint myself a sign, stick it, put it on a stick, and I will go stand out in traffic.
Yeah, I mean,
I will make.
It's like truly fighting the will of God. God wants this to be known to the world. They can't make this secret anymore. There's no secret to be hidden anymore. The world will know. The world already knows. Yeah. But anyway, I'll cut to the chase. Like some of the analysts you should listen to, Bill Holter. There's a guy from Pittsburgh, from your part of America, by the name of Jim Willey. If you're familiar with him, that's not his real name. But there are a lot of analysts on the internet, alternative media, that are exposing all the rot that exists in the global economy and all the world's finances, the banking system. If people knew this, they would know that it's not a coincidence. This is also a part of the big process of revelation. When it happens, it means the banks go down, the money goes to, it becomes worthless. This has all been written. This has all been written about.
Yeah, don't even get me started on those globalists, because we'll be here for 8 hours, because I'll go on and on about these people. I mean,
yeah, they're satanic. They're Luciferian. They're evil. They are.
I agree. 100%. I agree. Well, listen, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, because it's getting very late for the doctor. Listen, Ben, brother, it was good to speak with you. And the young lady with the multicolored hair. What is your name? We missed your name.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. My name is Katie.
Oh, okay, Katie. There you go.
Yeah.
I always like to have some names there, but I think in the near future, I'd like to hold a chat session like this. I'd like to hear from a lot of people. And as long as we have the doctor here,
we need to do that.
Yeah, she could answer some real technical questions, and we are truly blessed to have her with us, because, like I've said before, and I will say again and again and again, there are no other professionals with her standing that are willing to put themselves out there and seek the truth and help do the research and give the explanations that all of us are looking for. So, you know, my gratitude,
Yeah,
Doctor.
thank you, Doctor, so much.
Yeah, thanks.
You're
You're very
welcome.
brave, and really admire you and appreciate you. Seeing
Yeah,
as
thank you, Sam.
Thank you for existing.
There's a lot of
What do
people
you,
that are scared to talk out.
What do you think of the what do you think of the new name and logo that we gave her, the Rogue Physicist?
That's
I
cool.
love
That's
it.
cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
I designed that logo, and you know, we used a little bit of the NASA sign there, and blah blah blah, and we made it her own, and she is now the Rogue Physicist.
Sounds like the doc is going to kick ass and take names.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's absolutely correct.
You
Even
don't
though
have-
she's, you know, she's real nice person, you know, I always try to talk her into the kicking ass thing, but she's like, no, I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
Well, you guys, nobody has to be scared about exposing this anymore, because it's no longer a fringe. The signs are so in your face, and everyone is seeing it. So it's no longer like a fringe issue to talk about.
Yeah.
That's why I think the establishment is scared, and they're trying to distract and get people, to focus on other things, or believe that this is not happening.
Oh yeah, I know they're scared. Oh, I know
Yeah.
I know they're scared. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Oh, you know what? We had one other gentleman, Billy. I'm going to get to Billy real quick. Billy, go ahead. I'm going to unmute your microphone, brother. I almost forgot you were there. Let me get. You have your microphone muted, or do I have it muted? Let me check. I'm not Billy. Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. So what's happening, Bill? Can you hear me? I'm James. We always got these YouTube technical issues. Can you hear me? I can hear you. No, you can't hear me? Or do I have my microphone muted? Well, I'll tell you what. If in the future you want to jump on here, you'd be more than welcome to. And I think that that we could definitely get together like this again and have a few people on here and have some open discussions on what we're seeing, what we're experiencing around the world. I think that's a great idea. And I think we're moving closer and closer to the point where we need to have a hell of a lot more communication than you guys just, watching the videos that I put out, because all of your input, it does mean a lot. All of the support for myself and the YouTube channels and the doctor, it really does mean a lot. It means a tremendous amount to both of us. And if Chris Potter was here, he would say the same thing. And I would just have to say, listen, guys, stay tuned. Keep your eyes in the skies, man. Keep the information coming in. And sooner or later, we may get the disclosure that we're looking for. I wouldn't count on full disclosure, but eventually somebody's going to have to come out and they're going to have to say something, because the signs in the heavens, the signs in the skies, it's going to be way too much for somebody to.
There was a Brazilian senator, did you see, like a couple of days ago, that gave a disclosure? Yeah,
from Brazil.
Yeah, a senator in Portuguese.
Yeah, he was. I did a short video on it, and he was receiving a bunch of mail, from people in Brazil, and he decided, well, what the hell, I'm going to get up in front of the entire Senate, and I'm going to read this information, and I'm going to find out what's going on, and I think we need to open up an investigation. And I mean, that's basically in a nutshell what he was talking about. And the problem is the information that I got last year is that I really hate to say it, is that out of all of the world governments, the governments in South America were completely left out because they know of the impending doom to South America. It will basically
it's hitting there first. It's hitting there hardest, right?
Yeah, it'll basically be a completely uninhabited piece of land, possibly completely overrun by water, with maybe some, mountain peaks sticking out as islands in the future. So they basically didn't disclose any information to them whatsoever. Same applies to Mexico. So they just decided to leave these Latin American countries completely out of the loop. And, it's just the globalists, the Illuminati, these governments.
The flooding in South America is more severe than anywhere else, right?
Oh man, listen, it's horrible. It's horrible. I have friends that live in Argentina. I have friends that live in Peru. I spent 22 years in international marketing, and I lived in Miami for 22 years. So I have a lot of friends who have family in all of these countries, and I do get emails from them. I do get a lot of information from them, and they're very, very spiritual in South America. They know what's occurring, but the governments are confused.
Right.
And they don't know what to do, and they're not going to get any help from any other foreign government. You're not going to see the American government go rushing down to Ecuador or Peru or Colombia or Uruguay or Paraguay or any other country and lend aid. And they need it. And the same applies for what's going on over in Indonesia and some of the Middle Eastern countries. They're getting hammered, but nobody's helping them. It is just, just getting rid of people. Let it happen. Let it happen.
No,
and that's awful.
They can't let. It won't be possible. It's impossible. That's why you see disclosure coming out of these countries before anyone else. Yep. And to assume that the Western world or America or Europe are the only ones that have a say in this world is really retarded. I'm sorry to use that language, but the disclosure is going to come from these countries before anyone else.
Yep, you're absolutely right, man. They think they run the world, but in fact, we run the world. This is our planet, our world. God gave it to us, not some damn globalist with rotten teeth and stuffed in a fancy suit. That's just the way I feel. But like I said, if you get me fired up on this, man, we could go for 8, 10, 12 hours. I could go for a whole marathon of 24 hours because I hate those people. I mean, I do too. I really do. And if I ever end up in hell, if I ever end up in hell, they better watch out because I'm gonna rip each one of their heads right off their little bodies. But I'm gonna go ahead. Look at that little baby in there. Look at that little baby in red, Billy's baby. Cutie pie.
Hey, that's what the world should be about. Check your weather predictions online or on your weather channels today, because in California it's supposed to be sunny and almost 80-something degrees where I'm at, and we're completely overcast, covered with at least like 3 or 4 feet worth of chemtrails today. So just wanted to remind everybody, go check their weather and go.
I get the same effect
what's really
here.
going on out their windows.
I think my weathermen here in my area, I think they're on crack. I think they smoke crack. They're like, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day, clear skies, and blah, blah, blah. You walk outside and you can't see the sun because of the chemtrails. And then the chemtrails don't show up on the radar that you can pull up on your phone. And you're like, okay, is this weatherman smoking crack? What is he on, meth?
This is what we look like right now.
Oh God!
It's horrible. We usually have maybe 1 or 2 days of clear blue sky a month now, and the later it goes into the month where the moon phases are supposed to change, the heavier they spray where the sunset's supposed to be. Over in that tree line, way over there across the street, is where the moon and the sun are supposed to be, and they keep moving. So, just wanted to remind everybody to go check everything out and make sure everything matches on your end of the planet today.
Yeah, there's a pretty good app out there that you can download on your cell phone. It's called Sky. What is that called? You could literally hold your cell phone up to the sky, and it will show you the planets, the constellations, exactly where they should be. Sky Map. That's what it's called. And I've caught the things in the sky not necessarily being exactly where they should be. They're kind of off a little bit. But, who are we? We're not professional astronomers. But anyways, Doctor, you have any last words? I hate using that terminology. It sounds like we're like going. Yeah, we're going to the execution.
Well, well, let me just say that I think Sam made some good points. I think it says in the book of Daniel that at the end time knowledge would increase.
Yes.
And I believe that that's what's happening. In fact, the powers that be hid the true laws of physics from scientists and everyone else on this planet. And they kept us back. They didn't give us latest technology. And the Creator saw fit to put all these objects in the sky that when we start investigating, that's what's happened with me, we discover that the universe is governed by quite different laws. And
right.
Yeah. So I think,
and there's nothing to worry. I mean, I don't want to sound like a soothsayer or anything like that. There is plenty to worry about. But it says in the book of Daniel about the wicked that they shall come to their end and none shall help them.
Mm-hmm.
There's to the people that Scott hates so much, and I do as well. The
I'll help them. I'll help them. I might help them, to further their end.
They'll come to their end. No one will help them.
I want to give them that last kick in the ass right straight to hell. Is what I want to do.
Yeah, they can't get off this planet. It's baloney. They're not going to get off here.
Yeah, they can't even go to the moon.
They're not going to escape.
They want to go to Mars, but we will definitely hold one of these chat sessions again. I might even hold 2 or 3 of these during the week, and all of us could get together and have at least I can try to give everyone a voice where a lot of other people can hear what you have to say. And
I think we should do that like once every Saturday or once every Sunday for like an hour or two. Just let everybody get together so we can combine brain powers.
Oh, we could go on an 8-hour marathon if you want to. I'll make sure I have 3 Red Bulls here.
I am down, dude. I am down.
And we'll go right at it. But, Doctor, I will be in touch with you first thing in the morning. Oh, wait a minute. You have church tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, you enjoy your church. And whenever you get back, drop me an email and we will get together because the doctor has a couple more reports and we've been kind of backed up a little bit. And I have an important phone call that I have to get to in about 10 minutes. And I want to thank all of you, each and every one of you, for being here with us today. And I like the idea of giving everybody a voice. Dark Angel, if you're still there listening to me there, my love, thank you very much for handling the situation in the chat. I think you scared everybody away with that new avatar you got there.
Thank you. No problem. Anytime. I want to help you as much as I can.
Listen, I really do appreciate it. Listen, from the bottom of my heart, and everybody else out there listening, listen, best you can do, stay tuned. If you come up with any good information that you need to have a voice, drop me an email. I will get to it. Or, leave a comment in the chat. I'm always in there, and Dark Angel's always in there. Heidi's always in there. If it's important information, believe me, it will get to me. So everybody, I'm going to sign off for. Yeah, I'm going to sign off for right now. You all take care. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, Scott.
And you got it. This is Scott from Planet X News and my new panel of guests. Thank you for watching.
Stay strong.